All right, so the first thing we'll do is just kind of provide a basic overview for those of you who are completely new to Microsoft Excel, give you an idea of what you can do with it. When you open up Microsoft Excel, you'll probably get a screen that looks something like this, where you get basically the home screen, and you're able to create a new file or open up an existing file. And there's some other tools that you'll use later on, such as saving the file, even saving it as a PDF file if you need to, printing it, sharing it, exporting it, publishing it, and so on. And then close will close Microsoft Excel. There are some basic templates across the top. So if you wanted to create an expense report, there's one that's already here set up. You can just modify it to your needs. If you want to uh, create a custom calendar, you can do that as well. So Microsoft Excel has a lot of features, a lot of functions. We're not going to go into those. That's not the point of this particular guide. We're going to start with a blank template or open one that we have already created. But we'll start with a blank template, and you can open up and create a new one just by double left clicking on that new, and you'll see that it opens up your workbook. And that's what we have here. So a Microsoft Excel sheet is, or Microsoft Excel is file is considered a book because we can have multiple tabs. So you can see that I've got sheet one. This is called a worksheet. And if I click on the plus, I have two worksheets. Now you can see if I type in something like 1, 2, 3 or whatever, you'll see that this one's a different sheet. So you can right click on this and delete that sheet if you only want to work with one sheet. So the collection of worksheets makes up a workbook, and that's basic terminology. You can see here that you basically can type in a cell, so everything is, your columns are A, B, C, D all the way through, will continue. They'll just keep going A, D, A, E, so on. And then your rows is 1 through whatever, and you can have a lot of rows. So Microsoft Excel will store a lot of data. And basically you just type in what you want into each cell. So if I wanted this to be point number 1, and I'm hitting the tab key to tab over to the next cell, maybe this is my northing, so 10,000, and then tab again, 5,000, and then tab again, and then maybe 100 for the elevation, then tab again, and that's my control point. CP is my description. So I'm tabbing to tab through each one. If I hit 1, let's say we go to this one, I hit 2, and I hit enter, that moves down. So tabbing, hitting the tab key will move across, and then entering will move down. And you'll get to it. You'll see this little button here. I can pull this down, and what that'll do is that'll copy that 3 all the way down, or I can come into here and choose a different option. So instead of copying cells, I can fill the series. I can fill without formatting, flash fill, fill without formatting, fill formatting only. We'll talk about that as we get into this. For the most part, we're gonna keep it the way it is. If I click fill series, you can see that it goes and fills out the rest of this without me having to type in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So that's just clicking on this little down arrow. If you go this way with it, you'll see it copies it over, and that's just copying that cell. And if you pull it back, in this case, it removes it, right? If you press enter, however, it'll commit it to that cell. And we'll talk about some of those other features as we get into this, but just wanted to throw in a couple little basic data entries. The formatting, you can see general. If you pull this down, a cell can be formatted different ways. So it can be a form of currency. It can be a general with no specific format, a new number. So a number actually provides the decimal precision and points. And then over here, you can increase the decimal or decrease the decimal. And we'll cover these later as we get into this. I'm just giving you a high-level overview. I don't want to show you all the commands yet. We'll get into those as we get into this more and more. You can copy and paste. This is how you format the type of font, the size. So if you want to make it larger, you can fill in the fill color for the cell and change the text color, how you want to justify the alignment. We'll talk about merging and centering and wrapping the text. And then you can create all kinds of different formats, right? We'll talk about conditional formatting as we get into this. You can insert a cell, cells, delete cells. Over here, you've got some formulas, right? So we can auto sum. We'll get to those. But as you go across these tabs across the top, you've got your home tab, your insert. As for inserting data, you can see we can create all kinds of charts and graphs, um, different ways of drawing, right? If you need to draw your page layout, right? How you want it oriented. We'll talk about this when we get into printing and publishing. Formulas, that's really Excel's biggest strength is, you can create all kinds of formulas. You can create all kinds of budgets and forecastings and a lot of different, mathematical formulas. Again, like I said, we're going to do very little of that. We'll do some of that, but most of it is just formatting, importing, exporting, rearranging columns and cells. So we'll show you those through a kind of a series, and we'll break them out into small, little short videos. Data is, again, you can see there's all kinds of different data you can create. You can do what ifs analysis, forecasting. Again, we'll get into a lot of that. There's some reviewing. If you're sharing this with another colleague looking at data, again, a lot of this is used in accounting and it's used in finance, but we're going to use it quite a bit because we do manipulate large data sets. Okay, so that's just kind of really a quick overview. Most of it, you're really just working right in these, entering in data in columns and cells, and showing you how to insert, add rows, add, delete cells, move cells around, stuff like that is what we're going to really focus on in this particular guide. So as we move on, like we said, if there's any questions you have, feel free to ask and we'll help you through those.